Hey guys, before we start our episode, I just want to let you guys know on a quick announcement that on October 11th, I'm going to have my very first event with the collaboration with Hasta Luego Friend. It's going to be over in Connecticut, is in West Side Square. It's going to start at 6 o'clock, and it's just going to be a good time with friends, family. You could bring your kids. There's a lot of games there. There's going to be food there. They got a sky bar there. They got Monfongo. I don't know, but I love Monfongo, and it'll be so great for you guys to be there. I'm gonna be able to host an event there so that I can be able to have a card game and just have lots of fun and just honestly have a great experience. And I really would appreciate if you guys are there and support. And the good thing is, it's free to attend. So why not bring your friends, bring your family, bring kiddos, whatever it may be. I am just so excited that this is gonna be the first event and so many more to come. So let's go into our episode today. What would you tell someone that is trying to separate or balance that lifestyle from virtual and reality?
If you get a text message, it's not going away until you see it. You're really not missing it. You just might be a little bit late in responding.
I'm not who I think I am. I'm not who you think I am. I am who I think you think I am.
And for many, many years, I was like, oh man, someone's going to eventually figure out that I don't know what I'm doing. And that's not true, you know?
What was the kind of conversation you was having with yourself in order to be resilient through that time?
I know that I've reached burnout when everything annoys me. Imagine what you're missing out in real life.
Welcome everybody to the Rally Cry podcast. I am Angel, your host, and you guys are here because you want to learn, you want to grow, you want to heal, and you just want to be a better version than you were yesterday, last year, and maybe even a couple of seconds ago. And I am so grateful for everybody's support, appreciation, and when you guys come up to me in public and just say how you watch the podcast or you listen to it and how it inspires you, it honestly inspires me. And today we have a guest, and she herself is inspiring. And I always like to have intros as much as I can, so I wrote it down. Yes, I did. So I'm gonna start by saying that she is someone that takes pivot. She believes in community and uses her voice to speak on what matters. She has been nominated on Business West 40 Under 40 this year, and she is also the owner of Chick Media. Thank you, Meghan Rothschild, for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's so exciting, and I know that we've been trying to work it out. Like we were just talking before we got on air, we've been so busy and just trying to make sure that this works. So now we're finally here. So I'm so excited to really get to know you, what you do, and let the people hear about it too.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited too. I know it's like you said, it's been a long time coming, so we're finally doing it.
Right. And before we go into it, I've been having everyone that comes on play the communication card game called Enough Says. So I'm gonna shuffle it, and then I'm gonna pick it for us since we're doing this virtual, and then we'll just start conversation.
All right.
So let's see. Let's see, we're here. Okay, so you can see me shuffle it and
Pick
stuff.
a good one.
I shuffled it before too as well, so it's really shuffled. So we're just gonna go like this, and we're gonna pick this one, put this deck down, and this one says, ooh, I like this one.
Oh boy.
Describe your proudest moment from the past year.
Oh, I would definitely have to say, I have two.
You can say both.
Okay. So within the last year, I celebrated 10 years in business.
Nice.
I never really wanted to be a business owner. I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. So this has all come as like a shock to me, but celebrating a decade was a pretty big milestone because it hasn't been easy. But then I would say more recently, the Alumni Achievement Award that you referenced by Business West. So I won 40 Under 40 back in 2011. And this year I won the Alumni Achievement Award. And this was the fourth time I was nominated.
Wow.
So, yeah, fourth time is a charm. I did not at all expect to win. So I, of course, had not prepared any type of speech and had to get up there on stage. But that was a really big deal for me because it really helped validate the work that I do in this community. And it made me feel recognized for my contribution. So that was a shining moment for me this year.
Wow. Yeah. No, that definitely shocked me. You shocked. I'm shocked too that you're shocked.
That's what everyone said. They're like, "What do you mean you didn't think you were going to win?" I'm like, "Well, this is my fourth time being nominated, so I've been used to going and being like, oh, I didn't win.'"
Right. No, that is absolutely awesome. The fourth time.
Fourth,
Wow, that's cool. And even the fact that you said that I didn't even plan on being an entrepreneur, but you've been doing it for 10 years now.
11 years actually officially. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, we just hit 11. We just passed the milestone. So yeah, it's crazy because it was never my dream, and it just happened.
Mm.
The universe pushed me in that direction, and that's where I needed to be.
Wow. Yeah, no, I love that. And to even respond to how I feel about it, I think for the past year, I can say the same thing for myself. Like making this podcast, talk about mental health, getting a degree like we were talking about earlier, just now getting my bachelor's officially for psychology, something I've never imagined. I never thought I would have been where I'm at today. And almost like things happen by accident, but in the way of directing you to purpose,
Yeah,
because
so true.
you just get into this moment because of a moment that was past in your life led you to where you are today. And that's where we can just say that, wow, I'm just grateful because I didn't even plan for this, but here I am and I'm here loving it, and it's even though it is hard, like you mentioned and stuff like that. Why I want to ask you, why do you say you didn't plan to be an entrepreneur? I want to start there. You've been in it for now 11 years. What made you be an entrepreneur then?
Yeah, that's a great and loaded question. So I never wanted to be an entrepreneur because I never wanted to have the pressure of being responsible for my own income. Like
Mm,
I mean, not you're everyone's responsible for their own income, but to
right.
be an entrepreneur means that you're out there sourcing your clients and networking, and you are responsible for making sure that money is coming into the business. And so that was always a really scary thing for me because I just didn't want that pressure. And but the universe made it really clear. In every position I was ever in my professional life, I was sexually harassed in some way. My contributions were belittled. I was treated, the classic what you hear women in the workplace being treated. And so it was really frustrating. And that was by men and women. And it was really, really challenging because I know and have known for years that I'm really good at what I do, but my contributions to the workplace were often brought down to, oh, well, that's because of the way she looks, or oh, even worse things were said about me. And I finally got fed up with it, and I was tired of having bosses that weren't supporting me and weren't really embracing the contributions that I could make to the company. And so I started my own business on the side and thought I'll just do this as a little side hustle. And it was kind of like for fun to start. And then the universe made it really clear that that's where I needed to be. And so I made the leap. I started the business 11 years ago, but I made the leap probably about 8 years ago, and to do it full time. And that's where I've been ever since.
Wow, yeah. It's crazy how there's a moment in your life that you don't have anybody believe in you, but the fact that you believed in yourself, that's the foundation that you need. Because if you didn't believe in yourself, then you would have just allowed everybody to have that disbelief in you, and you'd be like, yeah, if you don't believe in me, I don't either.
Right.
But that
Yeah.
was different for you.
It's really hard, when you are treated that way in the workplace, you do begin to question yourself, and you do, everyone talks about imposter syndrome, right? And am I really as good as I think I am, or am I faking
Mm,
it? And for many, many years, I was like, oh man, someone's going to eventually figure out that I don't know what I'm doing. And that's not true. As we were talking about off camera, I spent 8 years getting my master's degree. And I have 20 years experience in the field, and I love what I do and I have a passion for it. So, you really do have to believe in yourself. And luckily, I had a really good, strong support system. My husband, my family was very supportive of me making the leap. And so, with their encouragement, I was able to find that bravery and really do it.
I love that. And it reminds me too, when you're around people that put a lot of disbelief in you and you go through this imposter syndrome and you ask yourself, "Oh, then what am I or what am I good at?" Because we need a little bit of that validation to know that what we're doing is right. Even though we may think it's right, we're like, "Wait, is it right?" Especially when it gets harder. And there's a quote that I always like rehearsing, and it goes like, "I'm not who I think I am. I'm not who you think I am. I am who I think you think I am.
Yes.
Yeah, and what it is just people like we think that we are who we are based on what other people tell us or what people think of us, but that's only based on what we think of ourselves. We can't really know what the other person is thinking of us.
Yeah.
But if someone says, "Oh, you're confident," I'm like, "Oh, maybe I'm confident." If someone says you're dumb, then you're gonna question yourself. Wait, am I dumb?
Yeah.
And that question then ends up being an answer that you try to give yourself because you try to look for answers.
Right. It's so true. And I think, our perception of ourselves, like you said, it comes from others, it comes from our insecurities, and it's hard. And especially in today's world where you see so much on social media, you see everyone's life out there on the internet, and you always wonder, am I doing enough? Am I good enough? Am I, FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. It's tough. It's a tough, and especially that's what I do. Like I own a marketing and PR agency, and so I'm on social media and in that world all day, every day, even if I don't want to be. So we see a lot, and I think we have a lot of us compare ourselves to others and what we see, and it can take a toll on your confidence for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to know too, because confidence is something that we all struggle with every day. And even if for myself, I'm very confident in myself. I love myself. I can look in the mirror, sing, and all that stuff. But there's moments in time where we might not have all the confidence there. I always like to say confidence is something that you take out your pocket whenever you need it. You don't always want to use it every single day or every moment because you might not need it all the time.
Right.
But during that moment when everybody was not really believing in what you do in the workplace and stuff like that, especially, what was the kind of conversation you was having with yourself in
Mhm.
order to be resilient through that time?
Yeah. I mean, I think I think I've always been the type of person who strives for excellence. And I know that sounds cliche, but I always want to do the best possible work that I can. I always want to do the best possible job that I can. And so I think in my head, going through all of that, you know, at some point I would try to silence what others were saying in my own head and say, don't focus on that. Just focus on what you're doing and how you can contribute and how you can do the best work possible. And I think really kind of putting your head down and almost like proving them wrong, right? Like there was a part of me that a lot of my motivation to do great work was to prove people wrong about me.
Mm,
And so that is, I think, where I put a lot of my emphasis and a lot of my internal dialogue was on, okay, well, how can I excel? How can I do better? How can I bring success to this position, to this business, to this organization? And when I focused on that, I found that it was almost therapeutic in a way, because you just have to kind of tune out the noise and really focus on what's important to you during those times.
right. Yeah, no, it's true. I think a lot of times we might not know what's important to us in the moment because in that area in our life we think that's what's important.
Yeah.
And I think so. Just to reiterate, when you was working at the other place, was it a marketing agency?
No, so I've had multiple jobs throughout
Yeah,
my professional career, but I've always been in marketing and communications. So not other agencies, just in the role of marketing and communications.
got you. Okay, cool. Yeah. So did you also get your degree in what you do now?
So my undergrad degree was in journalism, which
Ah,
I never really ended up using. I mean, I did a little bit. I was on air at a local radio station. I did writing. I did freelance reporting, always on the side. And then
yeah.
I went for my master's degree in corporate communications with
Hmm.
a study in leadership. So that's what I
Huh.
did my master's in. So communications is really my passion. Effective communication is like that's my favorite thing to work on.
Ah, I love it. I love it. There's a lot right there because the journaling part and then the communications and then the leadership. With the journaling part, what would you say that you have any moments in time where you journal personally for yourself?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, there's definitely been times where I have a journal by my bed, and it can be for multiple reasons. It could be because I'm stressed out and I need to get things out of my brain, and I need to just put them on there. It can be for ideas. It can be to reflect. on what I've accomplished, positive things that have happened, negative things that have happened, just to kind of get them out of the brain so you're not thinking about them anymore. So there's definitely been points in my life where a journal has been a huge resource to me.
I love it. No, I can say, oh, wait, do I have over here?
You've got yours by your side at all times.
Yeah, this is my journal right here, and I already finished this one, so I'm already on to another journal.
Oh, good for
But
you.
I definitely can say the same thing. In the times where I had a very pivotal moment in my life, I had to write down everything it is. Just be
Yeah.
grateful for what I have, what I'm feeling bad about, and even what I'm feeling good about. It's almost like an update about
Yeah.
how I'm growing as a person. And when it comes to a point in life where I want to relook at what I went through, I'll be like, wow, I felt that.
I do a lot. Yes, I know it's good. I wish I did it more, because it is nice to go back and reflect and see where was I, 5, 10 years ago, and where am I now? Luckily, we do have that's one good thing about social media, right? Is we can go back through and look what was I doing 10 years ago, and what job was I in, and what was the type of stuff I was posting, and I'm much older than you are, so we used Facebook as almost a journal for many, many years. It was like a
I,
status update,
right.
like, oh, here's what we did on the weekend and here's how I'm feeling. And so we almost had like very public online journals for a while there. So yeah, I
Mm,
think it's very useful. And I wish I had more time to do it. I found that, for me, I really enjoy reading and I don't have a lot of time during the day to do it. Running a business is very stressful and there's a lot going on. And so if I do have free time, reading is sort of like my go to calm the brain and relax.
nice. No, I definitely agree. Sometimes myself, I have all these books, and there's only maybe a quarter of them that I've actually finished, but they're there because
Yep.
they're watching me because they're like, "Yo, are you gonna read me yet?" And I'm like, I got you. Hold on,
A
give me a second."
reminder.
Yeah, just to remind me, I'm really big on poetry, so I have some poetry books there as well because I think the way that words can be articulated in a way that's so creative is very enticing for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I think it's very important, especially like if you're just trying to grow as a person. The journaling, the reading does a big significance to an individual's growth. So I love that you say that.
Yeah.
um I wanted to say too, because you are in the marketing field, and you mentioned that you're always on social media, and even when you don't want to, you're still there. I think everybody that is listening, and I can even say so for myself, we are stuck in the virtual world, right? And we kind of lose touch from reality.
Mhm.
I want to see about the experience that you have, or maybe if there's any advice. What would you tell someone that is trying to separate or balance that lifestyle from virtual and reality?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I actually teach. This is my first semester not teaching in 7 years, but I teach at Springfield College. I teach social media marketing. And one of the first, in our first class, what I do with the students is their first assignment is they have to go home and they have to set a social media boundary for themselves. So that can be setting the alert when you've been on social media for too long, the alerts that pop up and say it's time to put your phone away. You've been scrolling Instagram too long or Facebook too long or, Snapchat or whatever. It can be deciding they're going to eat dinner phone free, right? So the phone goes in another room. They have dinner with a friend, a significant other, a family member, and the phones are not there to distract. It can be, hey, at 7 o'clock at night, the phone goes away, we watch TV or I unwind. I can check it right before bed, but then I'm done with it. It can be don't put your phone next to your bed, right? Get an alarm clock instead of laying in bed and doom scrolling. So there's so many tips and tricks that I try to encourage my students to do, and also myself. This whole week, my husband and I have eaten dinner at the dining room table, and we have put our phones away, and it has been wonderful because half the time we'll eat, on the couch and we're kind of talking, but also scrolling at the same time, and it's a completely different environment when you're actually engaged with the person you're sitting there with. So I think there's a lot of different boundaries that we can set around social media use, technology use, virtual world, etc. It's just a matter of really, really enforcing them and
Mm,
stepping away. I know for me personally, there's times where I'll be scrolling and I actually start to feel like physically sick. Like I start to just be like, this is making me feel bad. And we have to recognize and be self-aware about those things and know when there's an addiction. And I mean, it is an addictive thing to be
yes.
scrolling. It really, really is. I mean, there's times where I'll be on TikTok and I lose an hour and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah.
the hour go, and I'm having fun and I'm being entertained and that's great. But like to lose an hour is pretty significant. And so I think, it's really about enforcing some restrictions and some boundaries around the use of technology and allowing your brain to rest because we just don't anymore. And that's why we're seeing anxiety and dissatisfaction with our lives because people are constantly connected and they're not leaving space in their life to exist in the present and live.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And I can resonate that with myself. There'll be times where I'm on Instagram or because I'm more of an Instagrammer
Me too.
and
Yeah.
I'll just be on reels and yes, I'm entertained. But like you mentioned, an hour going by, you know what I can do in an hour? It's something that's a little bit more refreshing or, something that is rejuvenating because think about it. Everybody have a 9 to 5 job or have been in a 9 to 5 job or they're doing something that takes a lot of productivity
Yeah.
and to go home and then be on your phone after coming out of work is still putting in work
Yeah.
because you're looking at all these things and then now there comes with the comparison and then you start getting depressed because you see what other people have and what you
Yes.
don't have and it's just a natural thing because our instinct is to see where we're at compared to what we're seeing. It's almost like looking at a finish line
So true.
when we're on social media.
Yep.
And I wanna take the opportunity and do a walkthrough on something that you would suggest or what you do on a day life, right? So when you wake up, what would be that first thing that you do or do not do to kind of separate yourself from
Yeah.
that virtual reality, and be more within reality?
Yeah. So the first thing I do when I wake up is snuggle my dog. So my chihuahua
Love it. I
sleeps
love
in
it.
bed. She sleeps in bed with me and my husband, and she is the cutest thing in the morning. She loves to snuggle. So I go right for her. And it is like the happiest way to start your day. I like
Aw,
dive my face right into her and she licks me and we just snuggle. And so that is my favorite thing ever because I try not to touch the phone. I just look at her and I'm like, okay, there's, she wants my attention and I'm going to give it to her because then for the rest of the day, she's a diva and she's totally independent. But in the morning, she'll snuggle with me.
what's her name?
Nola. And then
Nola. I
yeah,
love it.
when my boy dog Baxter jumps up on the bed, he's much bigger. He's a mutt. He's like 45 pounds and he'll jump on the bed and he likes to snuggle too. So it's like a whole little family snuggle.
That's cute.
Then we get up and my husband and I usually go to a workout class. We'll usually go either to spin or a combination of spin and a strength class. And that's
Nice.
kind of like our quality time together before the workday starts. And I really, really enjoy it. We don't do it every day, but maybe like 2 or 3 days a week. And that's really special to us because it helps with our mental health, right? Like exercise is so critically important. But also it's like taking time for ourselves. Then we come back and then, I mean, honestly, after a shower and breakfast, the workday kind of gets kicking. But then at night, when he comes home from work, because I work from home, he comes home, we try to cook dinner together and we try to go phone free for a couple hours.
Mm,
So that's like our routine. And it's hard, like I had a client months ago try to reach me from like 7 o'clock to 9:30 because she was having a bit of a technology emergency. I actually was not even really qualified to help the situation, but because it was related to her website, she thought I was. And she was really upset with me because she couldn't reach me. And I
mm.
said to her, I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't have my phone on me at nighttime. Like I have to disconnect for a little while for my own mental health. So it can be hard. My family has a group chat. I'm in a group chat with my sisters and my mom. And so I'll come back and sometimes I have 55 text messages and I'm like, whoo, did I miss something important?
Right.
But you need it. You need that time to disconnect and really engage with if you have a significant other, you're living with family, or you're living with a roommate or a best friend. Like, even if you're living with yourself, quieting the mind is important to allow your mind to rest so you can take on the work the next day. So that
Mhm.
is on a good day, that's like the ideal. Does it always happen? No. Do sometimes we have to be on the phone or jump back on the computer? Yes. But for the most part, that's always our goal.
Yeah, no, I love it. It reminds me of like sometimes we separate or get confused the target and then the goal. The goal is to, relax the mind and just kind of get yourself away from the social media
Yeah.
aspect as much as you are on it. That's the goal. But the target is to do what's efficient. To
Yeah.
the target is, well, I have to be consistent, right? And
Yep.
that consistency is what will lead you to that goal. And I love that you guys have that routine, especially like waking up in the morning. Because one thing I learned for myself is if you wake up and you go on your phone and you're on social media and you're scrolling, whatever you might run into might be just the way that you start your day, right?
100%.
Even with the news.
100%. Yep.
Yeah, and I think if I'm on social media and I hear someone, let's say, complaining about something, well, it doesn't matter what it is, but it's a negative emotion or feeling or energy, then I'm gonna have my whole day like that. It's gonna be negative because I just woke up to seeing something negative. And that's the same thing if you're watching the news. Now, I'm not saying don't watch the news
Right.
because it's good, but there's something has to give. Now, are you gonna give and own the thing that you're paying attention to, or are you gonna just wanna just pay attention to yourself,
Right.
right? Like, how do I feel when I wake up? Can I tell myself that today is going to be a good day?
Yep.
What is something I'm going to eat? Think about what do you want? Because I think at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how old we are because age is just a reminder. But we have all an inner child in us, and we all want to be happy. We all want to have fun. We all want to connect and just laugh and all these things. And it all starts with the beginning of your day.
It's so true. It's so true.
Yeah,
Like you said, it sets you up for the rest of the day. And being in the world of social media and even having so many clients, like if I start scrolling and I see one of my team members has made a mistake, or one of my clients has posted something
right.
and they shouldn't have, or like that is like it's an immediate anxiety trigger. And I just don't, I used to be one of those people who would grab my phone and I'd scroll for an hour. And again, I'm not saying I don't ever do that. When I was on vacation, I would grab and scroll, and when I didn't have anywhere to be, but I just have found that it is not the headspace I want to be in, and it's not how I want to start my day. So it's all about, like you said, finding those little joyful moments and thinking about what is I want to accomplish today. What am I excited about today? What do I want to eat for breakfast today? That stuff is, I think, so much more important.
Yeah. No, I absolutely am grateful that you say that because that's something that I'm just trying to get better at because I be doom scrolling too. I'm like, oh, like especially like for me, something that I try to do is trying to change what I do have on social media. So if it's something a little bit more engaging or productive because I'm learning something or anything like that, I try to do that as much.
Mhm.
Because if I know I'm going to be on social media, then I need to make sure that I set myself up so that I'm looking at something that will give me more positive result or feeling
Yeah.
rather than something that is always gossiping or anything like that. Now, I understand that, people do that so often. I can gossip here and there, but at the end of the day, that's not going to get me anywhere. You
No.
know what I mean? It doesn't do anything for me. If anything, gossiping is almost just like pointing fingers and that's it.
Yep.
So it's like after a while, you just got to let that go.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you too, because I think there could be some people that might be listening to this and say, well, I definitely want to get off social media or just get off of being on my phone. But for some reason, I just feel like I'm going to miss out. And I know you mentioned about like, I'm not always on my phone and you got people texting you. What can you give advice for someone that has that feeling, or what did you do for yourself in that moment?
Imagine what you're missing out in real life when you're on your
Mm,
phone. That's what I would say is imagine you're letting the world pass you by because you're staring at a tiny screen, right? So it's perspective. So yeah, you might miss a couple text messages, you might miss someone's reel that they posted, you might miss a family photo that your sister in North Carolina's posted. Okay, whatever. But if you're catching up on that stuff, you're missing the interaction with the person that you live with. You're missing dinner with your friends. You're missing watching the show with your mom or dad. Like, it's perspective. And I think that the technology is always there. We can always go back to it. You're going to if you get a text message, it's not going away until you see it. You're really not missing it. You just might be a little bit late in responding. And that is what this world has to calm down about, right? This immediate gratification, this instant response. We cannot think about, I mean, again, so much older than you. I grew up with a house phone. When I left the house for, until I was a teenager in high school, there was no way to reach me. I didn't have a cell phone until I was in high school. And so if I left and, went to work at the bakery up the street where I used to work, my parents had to call the bakery to get me if there was an emergency. but I was, I was disconnected. And so it's okay. Like, it's okay if someone can't reach you immediately. They need to understand that you have a life. You might be at a doctor's appointment. You might be on a date. You might be doing whatever it is you need to do. And we all need to give each other space and time to respond. You might even get something where you don't know how to respond. Maybe it's combative, maybe it's upsetting, and you need some time and space to process it before having a knee jerk reaction to reply to it. So I really wish that people would start to take a breath before the need for response. Everyone should not be expected to be at everyone's beck and call.
Mm.
We have to give people time. And if you saw my email signature when we were going back and forth, it says we prioritize quality work over immediate response.
Mm.
So if you're a client and you need something from me, it might take me a couple hours to get to it. It might take me 24 hours to get to it because I want to give you a thorough and complete response instead of just a knee jerk reaction and say stuff that I don't know is necessarily true. So I really hope people take that away from listening to this. Like, everyone calm down. Everyone take a breath. Give each
Right.
give each other a minute. We need it. We need it in this world.
I love it. I love it. And it reminds me on, when we're trying to tell people to slow down, or take a chill pill, it
Yep.
reminds me of patience, right? And patience is not learning how to wait, it's learning how to slow down.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people don't know how to do it. And that's something that you got to be consistent with. That's something that you got to keep reminding yourself, like, okay, well, they can wait, or I just need some time to process this, or let me just be here right now and
Yep.
just enjoy the space that I'm in, because like you mentioned, perspective is everything. So if my eyes is on my screen, that's my perspective.
Yeah.
Although I might be surrounded by an environment, that's not my perspective, that's my environment.
Right.
So if I don't put perspective in my environment, who's to say what's in my environment?
Right.
And it
We let
is like,
toxic stuff in there.
yeah, exactly. So
Yep.
it's like we have to be more conscious
Yeah.
on what we're paying attention to, because I've mentioned it before. You can be paying attention to something but not conscious of it, like being on your phone. I'm paying attention I'm on my phone, but then I'm like not conscious of it. After it's an hour, I'm like, oh whoa, I'm conscious that I've just spent an hour. Oh my
Right.
god.
And how do you
And
feel after that hour? Do you feel happy and excited, or are you like, oh, I feel
it's,
girl?
yeah, it's more of a drained. It's like,
Yeah, I'm
dang.
tired. Yep.
Yeah, because it
So
takes a lot of cognitive like thinking, or in
yeah.
judging too, because that's the thing that we do. Or then we start thinking about other things, right? Like sometimes for me, I'm always thinking about what more do I want to do to upgrade this space that I'm in, right?
Right.
Can I get more furniture? And then I'm thinking about that, and then I'm thinking about this because I saw this and that. Like there's always an influence to make us think about something.
For sure.
And that's why, social media or just being on the web or anything like that can be so draining, because it overstimulates you.
Yeah. 100%. And like you said, even if you're given the space, sometimes your brain is always in productivity mode. And it's like, what can I be doing? Like, oh, I should be relaxing. But is there a home project I could be doing? Should I be cleaning my room? Should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? And it's like, we have created this environment of that immediacy and that never being able to just sit still and sit in silence. And I think that that's why we see so much burnout, and it's why we see job turnover, and it's why we see people with mental health concerns. It's just too much. It's overwhelming and, like you said, overstimulating. And so building in that space for quiet, like I travel alone. So every winter I go on a winter retreat and I go away
Hmm.
for a week, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, I don't know how you do that." I have a team member who's like, I would lose my mind. And I'm like, it is my favorite. I sit in silence. I eat what I want to eat. I get up when I want to get up. Walk where I want to walk. I work out where I want to work out. And I just kind of exist in silence, and it's like a reset. And it's wonderful. And I think a lot of people are afraid to be by themselves because we've been taught that that's not like a good thing to do. But
Mm.
sometimes we need it. We really do.
Yeah, and I love that you say that, because what happens is when we were younger, what happened was, oh, if we saw the kid that was sitting at lunch by himself,
Right.
we'll be thinking that he's weird or he's not cool or anything like that. So we've been conditioned to think that being alone is just not cool, and that means you're a nobody. So I can definitely say, even for myself, I took myself the initiative to go on a meditation retreat for a whole week
Oh,
and be in complete silence. I had no phone, nothing to journal in, no music, no absolutely nothing. I couldn't even talk to the people that were there. And like, to be even more extreme, they didn't even want us to look at each other.
oh my God.
That's yeah, it was. And they say it in there, they say that it's a very intensive
Yeah.
retreat, and to be there for a week in complete silence and then meditating 10 hours a day
Woo.
was, yeah, that.
Yeah. It's a lot.
But it made me feel good coming back. And I love that you said it. You said the word, you said the B word, burnout.
Yeah.
And that's something that we struggle with all day. And even for myself, that's something that happens, especially like trying to, have videos and have guests come on, and just the business overall, just trying to better it. How do you manage burnout, and or how would you say when you've reached burnout?
I know that I've reached burnout when everything annoys me. Everything.
Right.
Um, and when I cannot respond in a way that's normal. Like,
Mm,
like some like little things send me into this like anger or frustration, or I'm really, really fatigued and tired. And so, one of the ways that I try to avoid burnout is by setting boundaries around my time. Being a business owner, it's hard because you always have to kind of be on in some circumstances, but like I don't do meetings on Wednesdays because that's my day to actually get caught up on work, to actually do the work that my clients are hiring me to do. And then Tuesday, Thursdays, and Mondays are my meeting days. And then Fridays, generally speaking, unless it's critically urgent or, the only time I can fit someone in, I also try not to take meetings. So that's been really helpful because again, it like builds in space. And then like I said, some of the phone and technology stuff has helped me with my burnout, just putting it away, focusing on having dinner with my husband, snuggling with my pups. Um, all of that is really good. And the other piece too is like as an entrepreneur, it's hard because you always want to take on work. You always want to say yes to everything. Sometimes things are not the right fit. And so it's taken me years, but there are times where like even, a couple days ago, I had someone fill out our inquiry form and I called within 15 minutes of them filling out the form and they were like, "Oh, we've already engaged another marketing agency." And like Megan from 5 years ago would have been like, "Well, let me send you a proposal. Let me, can you wait? Like let me try to compete with whatever price." And today Megan was like, "Okay, good luck." Like I was like, okay, that's fine.
mm,
It wasn't meant to be, it wasn't a good fit for us. And so that has been a big part of it, is like really taking on the amount of work that I can manage as opposed to what I think I can manage, and just leaving space to do quality stuff instead of just having to try to do as much quantity as possible.
right. No, that's awesome. I think that's something that everybody that's listening, I don't, if you guys are cleaning, if you're driving, or if you're just listening, or you're at the gym, whatever it is, I hope you guys are really getting something from this episode, because I definitely am. And it's always good to it's reassuring,
Yeah,
because this is something that I'm trying to even work on. So like just hearing you, Megan, talk about burnout and how success is, and just the balance that you have to have with social media, because this day and age, social media and technology is forever advancing. And in this fast paced world, we try to rush and do things, or just jump onto something because we think we're going to miss out, or we're not good enough, and all these things, because of social media, because of what people say on there. And we need to learn how to just be. And that's it. And not
very true.
have that expectation, like you mentioned, that, oh, I have to do this or I have to do that. And if you can switch the perspective, instead of saying, oh, I have to, with I get to, it changes the intentionality to when you do things, because it's all about the quality of what you do, like you mentioned.
And I think success can look very different for everyone. And I've said this in a couple presentations and keynotes that I've given over the last few months. Success does not have to be the $2 million home with the fancy car and the pool and, all of that. Success can just be waking up every morning and being like, I love what I do, and happiness and contentment where you are, instead of constantly having to try, like wanting to climb the ladder. Like find joy where you are here, where you are today. And that can be enough success for you.
Yeah, no, just being grateful.
Yeah.
Being grateful is the biggest thing. I was just saying on yesterday and on social media.
Nice.
Because I always like every time when I'm feeling enlightened, grateful, I like to share that. And yesterday I was just saying, one of the things that helped me was just being grateful. Because
Yeah.
when you're being grateful, that means you also accept the things that come your way, and you're giving yourself this energy. And if you're giving yourself that energy, you're also giving that energy out.
Yeah.
And I think that's what matters the most, just to be grateful for what you have and that you're exactly where you need to be.
Yep. Absolutely. And just
Yeah.
find the joy there and try to find joy in every single day.
Right. Yeah. No. And I know you mentioned public speaking. And how long have you been doing public speaking?
About 20 years.
Wow,
Yeah.
20 years.
Yeah.
What made you get into public speaking? Because
Yeah,
people get nervous.
that's a great, no, I totally get it. That's a great question. I actually am a cancer survivor. I had cancer during my sophomore year of college. And
Wow.
I became a spokesperson for a variety of different nonprofits. And so I've done a lot of national media and, Cosmopolitan Magazine and Teen Vogue and ABC World News and all of that. So I
Wow.
had to get media trained pretty quickly at the age of 20. And that really just, it was like baptism by fire. I just got thrown in. I had to learn it. I had to figure it out. And I actually really enjoy public speaking. So I did my first really official keynote this year, even after 20 years of speaking. This was my first keynote and it was wonderful. That's another proud moment. I got a standing
Wow.
ovation at the end of it. And that was a big deal because I was nervous, very, very nervous. And I never get nervous public speaking, but it was a topic very uncomfortable for me. It was about owning your authentic self and unleashing your authentic self. And I usually speak, I'm not a motivational speaker. I usually talk about marketing or, skin cancer or whatever.
Mm.
Um, and this was a different form of speech. And I got a standing ovation. So I'm ready for the next one. Ready for the next key.
Yeah, that congratulations. Yeah, it's awesome to hear that, you can speak on about being authentic. And honestly, I think, the conversation we have here, it's motivating for me, and I hope it can be motivating for everybody that is listening, because it's just a perspective that you're giving alone that is motivating, or it's inspiring, because we want to let everybody know that, everybody may be different, but we all go through challenges itself. And within that challenge, this is how you take this approach. And look where you came now, right? You've been doing public speaking for 20 years. You have your business now for 11 years,
Yep.
and you're still going, and you're confident in yourself. You understand the balance that you need in your life with social media, regardless of how much you do with your business.
Yep.
And I think that alone right there is just to let people know, like, hey, like, it's okay if you want to go for things and you're a go-getter and you're goal-oriented or whatever you want to call yourself, but there has to be something that you give yourself, not what you're only just giving out to someone else.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah.
That's
Yep.
awesome.
Pour from an empty cup for sure.
Right. Yeah, no, exactly. It's almost like, you're the cup and you're the water. And if you want to plant something or pour water into that plant, you want it to grow, you need to have your own water and
Yes.
replenish yourself.
Yep. 100%. Self care. So important.
Yeah. So when you do public speaking, are you never nervous?
No, I'm always like enough nervous that it's a good thing. Like I always say to
Mm,
people, if you're not a little nervous getting on stage, you might be complacent, right? You might be a
mm,
little too comfortable. Because you
right.
always need a little bit of jitters to make sure you're giving your best and doing your best. But there's definitely topics that I don't prep for anymore, right? Like I just know, okay, that's what I'm talking on. I can do that in my sleep. And then there's keynotes about motivation and being authentic that require me to prep for weeks. So
Mm,
it really depends on the topic. And I was really proud of myself for doing that because, like I said, it was just very out of my comfort zone, and I felt good about it. And I still to this day see people out in the community and they're like, "Oh, your speech was so good," and I'm like, "Oh my god, this is exactly what I had hoped for when I was prepping, but I thought I was going to fall on my face and have a panic attack on stage. And none of that happened. Luckily, my husband was like, "What are you so nervous about? It's 20 minutes, like it's easy." And I'm like, but I did it. And yeah, there's definitely still times where I get, and it depends on the audience too. I've spoken to groups of six all the way to six, 700. And
mm,
so large audiences can be really fun and energizing, but they can also be intimidating.
mm.
So it's all circumstantial, depends on the circumstance.
Yeah. Do you have a thing that you do before you go on stage if you are nervous? Like, do you breathe in? Do you talk to yourself? Do you do a
Yeah.
kind of exercise? What does that look like?
I get really quiet. Like at the
Hmm.
keynote I did this summer, I had so many people like talking to me, and I finally looked at one of them who is a good friend of mine. She's one of my team members, and I was like, I need 5 minutes. I need a couple minutes, and I just kind of sat there, and I like, went back through what I was going to say. And, you know, nobody knew what I was going to say. So if I screwed up or missed something, nobody knows. Right. And so I kept reminding myself of that and um, just going over things. And then, yeah, taking some breaths and just trying to calm the nerves. But like I said, you need a little bit of those nerves when you step on stage. So I don't have like a total routine, I guess, but I definitely like to be in quiet for a few minutes before I go on stage.
Yeah, no, if anything, that's the routine itself. And it just sounds like throughout the whole episode, you mentioned a lot about space and how much space does for you. Like you just value your space. It seems as if you're a person that is really comfortable with yourself and you're okay with that. And you have good boundaries around that, to have that space, because I think that's something that we nowadays don't like. We think too much space is deafening, and it could be daunting and scary because we're so used to being around someone, or the longing of wanting someone because maybe we have abandonment issues, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But if you acknowledge that and know that it is okay, then that's when you can, be okay with being nervous, or
Yep.
being okay that it might feel scary and stuff like that. Because I always like to say, because I be getting nervous too. Like I've been on stage a couple times, and more recently as well, and I'd be really scared. Like I did a pitch contest for E for All,
Oh
and
yeah.
oh my god, I was so scared when I went up there. I was shivering, like my legs
Cute.
was like, I was hot. I was like, oh my god, but I won first place on the pitch
Oh,
contest, so
you.
yeah, thank you. And it was definitely an experience. Everybody was telling me the same thing. Oh, he was so good. I'm like, really? Oh my god, stop.
That's great.
But it's like you said, you have to have a little bit of nervousness, because the nervousness means that you care and you
Yeah.
want to just execute.
Very, very true. It means you're invested in whatever it is you're talking about. So I'm sure that resonated and came across during your presentation.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. And so it almost goes into, public speaking, and you said that you got into communication, effective communication, and how much that means to you.
Yeah.
What stuck out that made you go into communication?
That happened to just be what I was really good at in college. Like, it's funny because I actually went to school for marine biology. And
Ah,
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. And I started, and my counselor, advisor, whatever you call them, was kind of like, "You're not very good at math." And I was like, "Well, you don't need math for marine biology." And she was like, "Yes, you do." And I was like, "Well, that's not going to work. I can't take 4 years of math stuff because I'll fail." So I decided on communication to like get started and see how I was going to like it. And then just realize that writing and speaking definitely were my strengths. And so that really felt like the right decision. That felt like my calling. Um,
Mm.
and so I've been very happy with that. There's days where I'm like, I wish I was working at an aquarium. I wish I was, I wish I had done that. I wish I had powered through because then I'd be swimming with penguins. But
That'd be cool.
it would be really cool. But I think everything happens for a reason, and that's where I needed to be was communication.
I love it. Yeah, everything happens for a reason, and it's all about if you make it a reason.
Yes. Yeah.
Give it purpose.
Yep. Exactly. Yep.
I love it. Yes. Oh my God. I am so glad that you came on, and like just spreading the light and the love and the support on just letting people know this is what it's about. This is how you had to look at things, the balance in life. Social media can be something that takes over your life, but you need to take over it,
Yep.
because life is how you make it, not how it makes you.
Yep.
So it's just great to hear that this is something that we should all be mindful of, and something that we have to practice every day. Are we going to mess up? Absolutely. Can you change a habit in 24 hours? Maybe not. But if you do, let me know, because I might want to know what you're doing to do that. But I hope everybody that's listening really really get something from it. And whatever it is, please put it down on YouTube, or if it's on your favorite podcast platform, if it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify. And also, if you haven't got your Enough Said communication card game, please do so. That'll also be linked in the bio, or you can follow us on Instagram. And Meghan, is there anything you want to say before we go?
No, I just want to thank you. This has been wonderful. It's wonderful to always talk about what I do, but also from like a mental health perspective, and sharing best practices and ways people can enjoy their lives, because life is too short not to. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming. I'm so excited. And I hope you guys really got something from this again, because I honestly learned so much. And until next time, y'all be easy. Peace.